All right, let's look at some
That is
patterns
all I
that
have.
let's look at some patterns that are probably setting up for some trades. One of my favorite things we do each and every week is when Coach Frank comes and joins us on Friday. He always brings a handful of his favorite chart setups that he's preparing for the weekend, getting ready to trade done next week or the week after, whenever they do set up and confirm. Frank, what you got today for Frank's charts?
Ooh, I got a few that are interesting that at least I find really interesting. I want to start with BTU, if you would be so kind. Peabody Energy.
Now, this is interesting to me.
So as you can kind of see here, we're kind of pushing towards the top of this range. I think you have to go back in time a little bit, maybe to a weekly chart, to really appreciate kind of what's going on. We've had this huge rounding bottom, right? It's, you can see it on the daily, but I think it's a little easier to see here on the weekly right now. Been trending the right direction, knocking on the door of a breakout. Don't really have any resistance, just with the way it's moved. Any real resistance. I mean, there's a little bit everywhere, right? Because we've been at all these prices, but really until we approach that 200 weekly, there's nothing there that says this has to slow me down by any means, which is quite a ways away. So I like the way we've developed on the daily chart for a little bit of a breakout. I love the fact that we've been trending the right way. We've been seeing that, volatility pick up a little bit, right? The bar's definitely getting bigger as we've been working our way up. Not saying that 20 is necessarily the target, but there's a big window to approximately 20 that gives us, things that I would be interested. I mean, we're going to have to deal with things like, 17, there was a little floor, little, pivot. There's a lot of little things along the way, but nothing that really scares me. I really like the way these guys have been trending as of late. I really like where they are in the short term for an entry perspective, and I like the window of opportunity that they present. So what do you think, Tim? Did I sell you on Peabody Energy?
Not for an investment ever. I'll just say that I'm not not going to invest in a coal company, but not a believer in their future. I'll
Sure.
just will say that. But interesting, we come from coal country, and I did not know that Peabody had even picked up this much in the last year. So it had been under pressure for years and years and years and years. You see those lines on the long-term chart. Reversal characteristics here on the daily and the weekly chart were post earnings as well. And you got a little cheap stock breakout play. I see it, Frank. I think you could map something out here. I got nothing against that part of it. Matt, what about you? Are you seeing potential here in BTU for a trade?
Keyboard trade, but yeah,
I would agree.
absolutely.
Keyword trade.
Increasing support level, technically horizontal resistance level, pretty clean trigger above 12.4 there. Yeah, I definitely, I couldn't veto it based on the technicals.
Yeah.
And that's really what jumped out to me was just how clean the technicals were.
It's clean. It's clean towards the top of that breakout. I do think the only debate would be on targeting.
Yeah, I think going into that, high 16s, approximately 17 for a trade is probably where I would be looking. I love the window, right? I love that there could be other trades, but I think for a secondary target, just somewhere in the mid high 16s is where I'd be looking.
I think and I wouldn't disagree with that if you're looking at position. I see a little 14, 15 action here. I do think you got to navigate from a shorter term perspective, but I definitely see 16, 17 as a secondary target.
Yeah. So should have the risk to reward. Should have the risk to reward.
Easy.
For
even at 14, you will.
I think 14 would be T1 for me, but
yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that, and that's what I love about having this space and these windows on above us. It doesn't have to be our target. It's just there's nothing in the way, right? That's what we always would like to see. We don't want to have to deal with any more challenges than we absolutely have to. So it looks like I got this one through. So I'll take I will take the deal. Okay, while we're on weekly, let's take a quick look at FTV. I don't want to forget this one. This one's an interesting chart. Old FTV here, knocking on the door of a breakout here as well. Post earnings, I don't know what the earnings were, but I can tell the response was positive on it.
66 cents versus last quarter 27. I don't know what the earnings are either, but that is improvement.
So it is a step in the right direction.
And it fired off support.
It fired off support. We've kind of taken that time to consolidate, right? Kind of like the Bitcoin chart where we fired into it so hot and heavy that it was like, I just don't dare buy that breakout. If it happens, now we've had a little bit of consolidation. to take a little bit of profit, to take a little bit of a breather. Makes sense that that's where it happened. So just a little breakout play on FTV here. Any thoughts?
I only have one question for you on this one, because you and I have had this conversation that I'm going to ask you about several times, actually, I think internally. The overlapping candles in the consolidation, does it concern you when you're looking at a chart like this that has characteristics where it's really choppy at different points? When I know that you're looking at the breakout saying, hey, Tim, that's old consolidation stuff. When a stock breaks out, maybe it performs differently. Do you have any
can I answer the
problem with
question?
that?
Yeah, go ahead, Manny, and then I'll add my 2 cents.
Tim, that's old consolidation stuff.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I would look at it as well. If, but there is a legitimate, question in there, Tim, where sometimes you're not quite sure where to call the breakout, right? So you couldn't maybe go in and place the order in those scenarios. Like AVGO is a perfect example, in my opinion, right now, of that. It's a breakout candidate. I'll know it when I see it, but I don't know where I think it is yet. And so then I'm just going to demand the close and say, hey, look, let's get that close. Let's look to trade within that when that opportunity presents itself. So if I do have that feel of a chart, I'm not afraid to say, hey, listen, prove it to me. There's, potentially another trade after. And if I miss you, whatever, won't be the first one, won't be the last one.
That's correct.
Yeah, I looked very quickly in their earnings numbers. They were fine. They weren't impressive. It came in pretty close to the expectation. They do provide guidance. Guidance was slightly increased, but I would say within the ranges. I've seen this report many, many times this earnings season.
That's the report, right?
That's the report. So it wasn't nothing to write home about. So I got this pure technically here, and technically I got the breakout channel at 75 with a target of 78 by 80.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm not too far off there.
And Tim, pro tip, whenever you're confused with the chop,
I saw that.
Drop.
I love that. Yeah. It does smooth it out.
It does
makes
smooth it
so
out
much
a lot.
easier to read. Yeah.
It helps a lot when you go to a larger time frame that chop is, and it does. I mean, it's usually one of those things. Everybody's got their own eye of the beholder thing, right? Sometimes I see the chop and Matt's like, dude, you're a wimp, right? But it's always in the eye of the beholder.
Sure. Now the breakout candidate, though, what we got next?
And then we do have quite a few breakouts. I know you guys have talked about it a few times this week, but I do think Cleveland Cliffs is worth mentioning.
It was the first stock I had written down. To be fair, I did start scanning in the material space, and there was no A's I liked. The B's were gone. Cleveland Cliffs was next. But it was the first stock I did write down. I love this snapback bullish retracement.
I agree. Nice upward movement here today, showing that maybe we found that bottom. What I love about these guys is I think this is one of those charts where you can play it directionally. That's kind of the lens I'm looking at it. But you could also use this as an opportunity if you wanted to do some naked puts. I think Cody was talking about naked puts in the Trade Masters. I think Mark brought them up in the Queen's Court this week. So I do think there's a lot of ways that we could go at this chart pattern.
Whenever I judge Trade Masters, if you bring a strong bullish retracement candidate on a breakout against the 52-week high, and you try to do a naked put, listen, Tim, I got something for you. I got something for you. See, Frank, I'm now the executioner at Tactical Trading. Okay,
I like it.
And Frankie, I got a sword. Okay, that's what I got. So if you want to bring a naked put on Cleveland Cliffs, I'm just saying, I got a sword.
You get chopped.
There's going to be some chopping, is what you're saying.
Delta analysis.
That's all I'm saying. You're getting chopped. No,
listen.
You can sell a naked put on anything, literally on anything. Why would you do it on such a beautiful technical pattern like Cleveland Cliffs? I just don't get it.
To each their own, but yeah, I'm with you. I'm just coming at earnings season. You can bet you there's only one lens I'm looking at this one through. So
me too.
That goes without saying. All right. Any thoughts before we move on? I got a couple more I wanted to take a look. I really want to talk about this one with you guys, and that's Juniper, JNPR.
Okay.
Little Juniper action.
A little bit of Juniper action here.
Man, I haven't analyzed Juniper in a long time.
It's been a while.
It's been a day.
It has been a while. And if you've ran into Juniper before, this is nowhere near their highs, right? They're in some ways kind of in the middle of a long range, with kind of 31, 32 as the top of that trading range. But what I really liked is the way we've developed on this daily chart here, right? That there is some chop on the range. I think we go to that weekly to kind of find out where's the real challenge, right? And for me, that's a little ways away. But I think we're looking at building into this from a daily point of view. And two things kind of caught my attention. I mean, when I first looked at this, I just thought breakout, right? You guys know
29.
me, break that
Got a little
29.
flag going on though.
Let's work. And then as that was really like 2 days ago when I first bumped into these guys. They were kind of having that upward move. But like you said, Maddie, now we've kind of got this little flag where we could at least entertain the notion of trading the flag or using that as a scaling in moment,
the front
and
running
adding
approach
on the breakout itself. I do think there's room. I mean, there's not a tremendous amount of room, but on the other side of things, I mean, the thing about Juniper is they've been in lots of places, right? Matt, you probably remember when they were like $40, $45, whatever
yeah,
it was.
name
when
the
they
price
were,
tag.
I mean, yeah. I mean, they've been there. Sure, they've been in a long-term consolidation, and I do think we kind of want to respect that top that's somewhere in the 32 ballpark, and that could be a whole new thing altogether. But I do think there's a little trade in here that we can try to take advantage of between here and there, going into that the 29 break or the flag itself.
And honestly, technically in the short term, you do have an increasing support level riding the 9 EMA, going up against a 29 horizontal breakout. There certainly could be a little scaling in front running as you trade the flag coming into the add on the break. But it's going to get vetoed.
Fair enough.
And the reality is, I just think there's going to be a lot of stocks to pick from.
There are going to be a lot of things to choose from. Yeah, this is going to be one of those weeks where you do have luxury of choice.
There will be quality technical setups to get vetoed.
100%. Yeah, there 100% will. There's just, you can't, I mean, you can trade a lot of them, and I encourage you to do so, but you can't trade them all.
and Frankie, I do like the 29 handle there. It's clean above 29.10 to 30. I do like the flag off the positive response to earnings after the gap. It gapped down. They said a whole bunch of random crazy stuff that people gobbled up. We see it all the time. Numbers are bad. They say positive things. We've seen this story play out. You got to like the resetting of the support level, not Bitcoin-esque, but similar type of conversation, I would say. Yeah, so there is a lot to like about the entry. But then I take a look at these longer term charts and I just see a lot of chop between 29 and 30. So I certainly think 30 it dings 30. I certainly believe that, but I believe a lot of things ding higher prices. So it's a matter of picking the ones that you feel really stand out against the pack. Yeah,
I think that's a fair way to look at it.
Yeah.
And Addie just in the chat, Cisco or Juniper, you're tied on Cisco's earnings. I mean, that's one thing, but the space is cleaner on Cisco, right? There's just no earnings, real great reason. We got an old, the weekly high, and then that, high around $58. Just not a lot of time, right? And then I think that's probably the big debate that you're having. If this is the two that you're picking from, is how much weight I mean, we don't have a lot of time, on Cisco's earnings, but I still don't mind Cisco either. Broke out, kind of holding that 9. Would like to see a little more follow through, but you don't always get what you want.
It's got earnings.
It does have earnings. Yep. That's and you have to navigate
again.
Those, right?
Too many things don't have earnings. Let's trade the ones that don't.
Thank goodness. What about Rollins? We talked about Rollins last week.
Rolling with Rollins.
They
one of my favorite things, by the way.
It's a good one. They broke out this week, right? Probably got some folks into the trade. I won't mention any names, but I know one, or at least one, and pulled back, kind of Cody special style, right into that, testing that old resistance as new support here. Sold pretty, good yesterday, dojing here today. I wish Cody was here, because this is what I think of when I think Cody special, right? No debate. Pure snapback, right? Pure snapback. But we get to, confirm that breakout, little upward movement, nothing crazy here. The targets wouldn't change. I think you were with me, Maddie, kind of 40 by 42 or
I think you're
something.
40 by 42.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of where I was as well. I need, just a, nice doji off of today's high, wherever your stop loss would have been on the breakouts, probably where your stop loss still is, I would argue. But nothing crazy, just another opportunity if we miss that break and want to take
honestly,
advantage
I think this is a pretty standard swing trade right here. Your entry above the high of today, you're looking at a stop loss underneath the breakout channel of 38, and you're targeting most likely, you're targeting the 40 by 42, which would put you well above the 1-to-1 at T1 and 2-to-1 at T2. You're looking more at 3-to-1 at T2 on reward to risk ratio. For me, Rollins, the top's going to take care of itself. What I like about Rollins is the area that it is in, the zone that is in. And we talk a lot about that at tackle trading, and the zone you like it is because you like the support level, right? You really like that support level, and that's what I like about the 38 handle on Rollins. On Rollins is you have this 38, 38, 38, 38, 38, 38. You see the 38 just represent itself so many times over the course of the last year in Rollins, and you see it come down, retest that. The breakout was strong, broke out, established a new pivot high, coming back down, retesting the 9 EMA with a backstop of 38. I like a stop underneath 38, entry above the high. That's a pretty simple swing trade.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm sold. Tim, what about you?
I really like the longer term characteristics that have been developing here, by the way. This longer term W pattern off of this breakout also leads me towards some of that. Like you say, Matt, the top side can take care of itself. We've got some room up to those tops, and I do like that breakout. I think it's a good trade setup here, Frankie. Be honest? Yeah.
I do too.
Yeah.
I like the zone.
I do. Yeah, I really like
Plus,
it.
look at this, Frankie.
Breakout.
Look at this. Look at that. Look at that 9 EMA.
Hard to not like that. Hard not to like that 9 EMA.
Outside of the gap down on earnings, which is obviously volatility and it can violate any technical setup, right? Outside of that, the 9 EMA has been a very consistent support level in the short term to test this momentum. So you got the backstop of 38, that very important support level. You got the momentum of the 9. I do think you'd like it here. The zone is really nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I liked it last week on the breakout. Gives us an opportunity potentially to come back in, getting that same confirmation a week later. Hard not to like that one. I know we're running up against the clock, so I'll just rapid fire a couple. I still, like everybody here, probably like the Apple 150 break. We're a little ways away.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter when.
Doesn't matter.
Right? Especially if we continue to kind of hold this sideways zone that we've been in. We're a little ways away. I don't feel like this is a great scaling in character, at least right now. I don't think that way, but I do think you want to be keeping that 150 breakout on your radar.
Can I ask you a question, Frankie?
Absolutely.
Does it matter the amount of time it takes on this potential 150 breakout on Apple?
Not really.
If it stays within the range.
Not really at all.
Yeah, I agree.
Not really at all. If it stays in that range, I'm cool with it. Whether it's next week, 2 weeks from now, a month from now, just not like a week before earnings.
As long as you stay within the range, Apple's got to be on the 150 breakout.
100%. 100%. You definitely want to keep that in mind. I don't think there's any question at all whether that's something you're trading or not. I do think you want to follow along with that.
And Frankie, you said that there's no front running here, basically, right?
I don't feel like it is.
I agree 100%. There can't be, given the fact that you double topped at 150.
Exactly.
That can't be front run. You got to see the breakout.
I 100% agree. I think you have to see the breakout happen before you can get too crazy. But I do think you are, kind of preparing yourself, both mentally, at least mentally, for that potential breakout, because you don't want to miss that one, right? Even if you don't trade it, you don't want to be the one that someone says, "Man, what about that Apple 150 break?" And you kind of sit there and shaking your head. I don't know. Well, I'm not saying you.
Okay.
I'm saying a hypothetical you. I'm saying Mark.
The first second it dinged 150 to the penny, you knew that was the breakout channel. Like, you knew it. Everybody knew. Well, I don't want to say everybody, but most technicians knew it. You were overextended coming into it. It dinged to the penny. Volatility shifted. at that point, you're like, yeah, 150 breakout.
Yeah, I think that was the most common read
earnings
across
had
the
the
market.
chance, right? It was before earnings. Earnings had the chance to break it out. It didn't. Kind of that wide range doji type esque volatility, but I think there's not a cleaner breakout in the market, in my opinion. There's better breakouts. I'm just talking about the clean nature of that 150 breakout.
It's very, very clean as it is right now. Very, very clean. And yeah, take the time that you need, Apple. Maintain that sidewaysness as long as you need to. And
let those moving averages catch up a little bit.
Sure, nothing wrong with that.
The strength of that movement there. I think Apple deserves to take a little siesta here.
I have no objection to them getting a little break. They have earned it. And I would, hopefully we're talking about that break, a week or two from now, right? Mm-hmm. Hopefully that one's not right around the corner, at least from just that particular breakout. Obviously, if you're in Apple, you're like, shut up, Frank, let's have it happen Monday.
Well, I was going to tell Tim Cook, I'm like, Tim Cook, it's okay to take a siesta, but when you break out of 150, you better run.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm saying we're willing to be patient with you.
We're willing to be patient. Yeah. So we'll be patient. You just don't give us a fake out, right?
Yeah, no fake outs. How about that? No fake outs, Apple. That's fair. That's an agreement. We'll be patient. No fake outs. That's an agreement. I like it, Frank.
I like that agreement as well. Yeah, because that 150 breakout, I think a lot of people are going to trade it. So I do not want to see a fake out there.
No,
all right.
Not at all. Not at all. I'm going to throw one more, and then I'll let you get wrapping up, Tim. I know you were about to say it. ADP, Maddie. See, I know how to preempt Tim now. I'm getting pretty good at this game.
I've like scarred him or something. I was not about to say
the looks. It's the looks. You get this look.
Yeah, you do get this look.
You get the look.
This look in
poker
your eye.
game we got going on here.
It's like, Tim wants to go to final thoughts.
He does. So Tim, give me your final thoughts on this. What I like about ADP here is we had that big fire up. We've basically based, right? Yeah. And so we haven't really ran. It's created a scenario where that 9's catching up with us, would just be a high base, might be, early next week to mid next week where that might develop. I like when we get this type of development because it usually gives you pretty favor risk to reward, Maddie, because of the way that the base develops, right? And so, sure, there's a lot of breakouts there to choose from, and whether it's this one or somebody else. But when we're debating, hey, who are we trading? One of the key things that we're considering is, well, at least us directional traders, is the risk to reward side of it, right? Mm-hmm. It's like, well, if I can get 3-to-1 here and 2-to-1 there, I mean, all things being equal, where we are going. I do like 220 as a target for ADP, which puts me just kind of with the way I, do things with this type of pattern, just shy of a 3-to-1 as it currently stands. So I like this little developing high base on ADP personally.
Yeah. For me, I think the analysis here has to start intraday. Personally, the daily trend is beautiful. You've got a trigger there. And what I like about it, for a potential swing trade, true swing trade, a couple of days, maybe a week or longer, is that you've got clear entries and you can find a pretty good stop loss placement that's going to keep tight risk. So knowing how we could map a trade out here, I think it's definitely on the radar for me here, Frank, from ADP.